There is a city in Europe built entirely on two different levels. Where ultra-modern engineering blends seamlessly into ancient medieval fortresses, and where every single train, tram and elevator is entirely free. Our journey began right at the edge of the modern city, where this incredibly sleek transit system guides us straight into the past. Luxembourg is famous for its forward-thinking infrastructure, and guess what? Stepping onto the quiet electric tram instantly makes you feel like you are part of a highly efficient future. We are exploring this city in chapters, breaking down its unexpected corners piece by piece. Now, despite its tiny footprint on a world map, Luxembourg stands out as one of the absolute wealthiest nations on Earth. It is, well, it's a founding member of both the European Union and NATO, holding immense geopolitical influence behind the scenes. This small territory is home to the European Union's highest court, managing trillions in global assets. Beyond the wealth, it is also a pioneer in public infrastructure, becoming the first nation in the world to make all of its trains, trams and buses entirely free for everyone. Yet, despite that hyper-efficient, forward-thinking edge, it remains an incredibly accessible and charming place, where ancient sandstone cliffs and medieval history effortlessly bump up against ultra-modern European structures. Walking down these side streets brings us right to a legendary local institution. This is Kempff-Kohler, an elegant luxury deli and pastry house that celebrated its centenary milestone right around the time this storefront board was made. It has, actually, been a fixture for locals since 1922. Stepping inside, the shelves are completely packed with fine regional wines and an incredible collection of artisan cheeses. It is exactly the kind of refined, quiet spot where residents come to pick up premium specialties, giving you a real taste of the local lifestyle. The culinary scene around here is honestly completely fascinating. Because of the massive international population, the city's restaurants mirror a unique blend of global cultures and premium European standards. As you stroll through the main thoroughfares, you notice everything from high-end French cuisine to familiar international names. But guess what? They almost always feature a distinctly localized twist to satisfy the sophisticated tastes of the people living and working here. Case in point, this building right on Place d'Armes houses what might be the most upscale Pizza Hut in the world. Inside, custom geometric lighting by Designer pairs with a premium full-service restaurant vibe, where they even pour local beers on tap like Bofferding. They serve unique regional specialties like the chèvre miel pizza, all while retaining, look at that, its gorgeous original black and white geometric floor tiles. Turning the corner into Place Guillaume II, we initially weren't entirely sure what the city was getting ready for with all these setups. Zooming in on the building ahead, the words Hôtel de Ville are carved right over the entrance. For English speakers, that can be a bit confusing, since hotel sounds like a place to sleep, but it actually historically meant a grand public building. So this is simply their town hall. Looking closely past the architecture at the vibrant rainbow banners, we realized the square was being prepped as the main venue for Luxembourg Pride. This event marked a major, historic return to the very heart of the capital after 16 years away. Right in the middle of the square stands the grand equestrian statue of King William II of the Netherlands, who also ruled as the Grand Duke of Luxembourg. We will be looping back to take a much closer look at him later on. Walking past the stages on July 2nd, everything felt calm, and we certainly weren't ready for the sheer energy that would take over this square just a few hours later. Leaving the large square behind, we step into a quiet corridor known as the Passage de l'Hôtel de Ville. Outside, a commemorative plaque honors Jean-Antoine Zinnen, the famous composer who wrote Luxembourg's moving national anthem, Ons Hemecht. He actually taught music on the upper floor of this very building. It is a wonderfully peaceful transition zone, hidden right beneath the administrative heart of the city. Right as you exit the passage, you run into the window display of Brasserie Guillaume. This spot is a beloved local institution, absolutely celebrated across the city for its fresh seafood towers, carpaccio, and luxury platters. Seeing the fresh catch beautifully arranged on ice right against the glass gives you a perfect sense of the high-end, indulgent dining culture that thrives in the center of the capital. From here, our path starts leading us toward one of the most iconic viewing points in the entire country. But before we can step onto the spectacular terrace known as Le Chemin de la Corniche, often celebrated as Europe's most beautiful balcony, we need to navigate through a series of ancient, winding pathways and deeply historic sites that reveal the old layout of the city. Now, to get down into the beautiful canyon below, we have to descend about 50 vertical meters from this upper level. To solve this vertical problem, the state of Luxembourg has provided a brilliant setup for pedestrians, combining two completely different modes of transport, a funicular and a public lift. You see, Luxembourg is widely considered a hilly country. The northern region is actually quite mountainous, forming part of the rugged Ardennes range, while the rest of the landscape features these rolling plains, and deep, dramatic river valleys. Walking through these streets, the absolute mix of cultures is impossible to miss. Daily life here requires an effortless linguistic juggle. Official laws are written in French, newspapers are usually read in German, and everyday neighborhood chat happens in Luxembourgish, a native tongue spoken fluently by fewer than 300,000 people today. But this blending of worlds has also created what experts call a success trap. Because housing costs skyrocketed by a massive 135% over the last decade, an average two-bedroom apartment can easily cost at least €2,000 a month. It has pushed things to a strange tipping point, where nearly half of Luxembourg's entire workforce doesn't actually live in the country. Instead, hundreds of thousands of commuters cross the borders from Germany, France, and Belgium every single morning just to go to work, packing the roads before heading back home to sleep in a different country at night. Coming into view now is the Long Red Bridge, officially named the Grand Duchess Charlotte Bridge, though locally it's just called the Route Breck. Spanning the Alzette River Valley, it serves as a vital artery connecting historic Limpertsburg with the modern Kirchberg Plateau. It stretches 355 meters, towering 75 meters above the valley floor. Back in 1966, before it could even open to traffic, it had to pass an extreme strength test when the Belgian army drove 12 42-ton Patton tanks across it all at once, just to prove its stability. We actually started our day inside the modern bustle of the Auchan shopping centre in Kirchberg, where we managed to find parking. Heading out the doors, we made a straight line for the city's sleek transit system. Jumping onto the quiet electric tram, it's a quick, smooth ride through the financial district. Stepping off at our stop, we cross the main avenue, navigating the wide pedestrian pathways, and walking right into the grand entrance of the funicular station, where this incredible vertical journey down into the valley officially begins. To drop down that massive 40-meter incline, we are jumping onto the Pfaffenthal-Kirchberg funicular. Now you have to realize, this isn't some slow, traditional mountain cable car. Opened in late 2017, this ultra-modern system was custom-built for high-speed urban mass transit. It features two completely independent tracks running side by side, turning it into a brilliant commuter shortcut that rockets down the steep cliffside in exactly 63 seconds. And just a quick heads up as we look out. The sun was hitting the safety plexiglass outside at a really low angle during this run, creating a heavy glare that completely blurred the shots. But it still gives you a fantastic look at the sheer scale of the engineering as we head down toward the lower transit levels. Best of all, like every single public train, tram and bus in the country, Riding this high-tech rocket is 100% free. Stepping out of the funicular, you instantly realize this lower station is a 4-level engineering hub built right into the steep valley cliffside. This space serves as the ultimate connection point, seamlessly linking the upper plateau with the lower transit lines. From here, a set of steps and an escalator lead us down toward the main heavy railway station. But first, we need to take the connecting elevator to get all the way down to the valley floor. If you are enjoying this video, consider giving it a like, as it helps others to find this content too. And it really helps this little channel to grow. Thank you. This is the missing link to the river. This elevator is the final link in the station's vertical chain. It drops passengers from the elevated rail platforms down to street and river level at Rue Saint-Mathieu, right along the Alzette River. A cyclist can roll straight off the high Kirchberg Plateau, down the funicular, across the station bridge, and out this elevator onto the riverbank without ever pedaling or paying a cent. The sheer scale of this concrete hub is incredible, with massive glass shafts letting you track the cabins moving up the incline. Looking closer, you can see how the entire station is tucked right underneath the red steel leg of the Grand Duchess Charlotte Bridge. Stepping onto the escalator, we drop all the way down to the heavy railway station. It was a massive upgrade for the country's infrastructure, allowing passengers coming from the north to instantly switch to the funicular and tram without having to travel all the way into the central station first. Opened in December 2017 alongside the funicular, the entire platform level is built with sharp, modern metal angles, designed to mimic and respect the red bridge right above us. Well, see, that late afternoon sun found us again on the train. Just like at the funicular, the glare on the windows was doing its absolute best to blur our view all the way to the central station. Now, didn't it? Looking up, the vast, vaulted ceiling holds incredible local artwork, giving the entire space the striking feel of a historic palace. As we pan down, we are looking at the grand main hall of Luxembourg Central Station. Heading out onto the square, today's stone building looks remarkably like a grand Baroque abbey, featuring a massive, towering clock tower. But it didn't start this grand. Back in 1859, the entire station was built completely out of wood, so the military could burn it down instantly if the city was ever attacked. Standing here at Place de la Gare, you're essentially looking at the front door for thousands of people every single day. This very square is the front door for a fascinating demographic glitch. Nearly half of the country's entire workforce, around 47%, doesn't actually live here. Every single day, over 220,000 workers commute across the borders from France, Germany, and Belgium in the morning, and then leave at night, causing some massive traffic jams. It's a seamless daily crossing, which makes sense when you remember that the Schengen Agreement, which allows millions of Europeans to travel across borders completely passport-free, is actually named after a tiny, quiet winemaking village located right inside Luxembourg. And all that open access has brought in some massive players. Major multinational tech companies like Amazon, PayPal, eBay, and Skype, along with Apple and Microsoft, all manage substantial portions of their European operations from corporate bases quietly tucked away here. It's all thanks to very friendly business laws and low corporate taxes. Leaving the station behind, we needed to take a short tram ride to get back to the upper town, just to see how the Luxembourg Pride was going on.
Et j'ai le grand plaisir
As we arrived, the streets were absolutely packed. Thousands of people turned out to march through the city for this year's Pride event. In fact, the energy has been building all week. Even the official Pride Run a few days ago drew nearly 4,000 runners alone, setting the perfect tone for the main celebration today.
Est-ce que tu vas attendre ta maman? Non. Est-ce que tu
Looking up, that is Grand Duke William II, the namesake of this square, who ruled back in the 1840s. He probably never envisioned a celebration quite like this. He ruled both as the King of the Netherlands and the Grand Duke of Luxembourg from 1840 to 1849. After leaving the energetic crowd behind, we slipped away to the cool and quiet Église Saint-Michel, St. Michael's Church. Stepping inside, the silence hits us instantly, but right after entering, we are completely surprised by what's tucked away in this tiny room. This incredible horizontal clock mechanism was built back in 1902 by the famous French clockmaker Paul Audoube in the Jura region. It actually controlled the church bells and tower dials, even surviving the heavy shelling that damaged the tower during World War II until it was finally electrified in the late 1940s. For over 60 years, this massive iron and brass gear assembly sat forgotten and gathering dust up on the third floor of the tower, until a local historical committee rescued and meticulously restored it, putting it on display here in 2018 for everyone to see. We are inside the oldest intact religious site in the entire city, a place where a simple castle chapel was first consecrated over 1,000 years ago by Count Siegfried, the founder of Luxembourg. Over the centuries, this church became a symbol of ultimate resilience, getting ravaged, burned, or completely flattened by wars and fires, including massive destruction by French troops and during the French Revolution. Yet, the city rebuilt it every single time. After the French Revolution left these walls stripped and completely bare, it had to be refurnished using pieces taken from other destroyed or secularized local monasteries. That's actually how the church got its magnificent 17th century Baroque master altar and its historic organ. Interestingly, this ornate wooden organ case wasn't even built for St. Michael's. It was originally crafted in 1662 for the Franciscan church over at the Knoedler. When the French Revolution forced the closure and ultimate destruction of those local monasteries, this masterpiece was somehow saved. In 1805, it was relocated here to replace St. Michael's own lost instrument, and the spectacular Baroque casing is so historically significant that it was officially designated a national monument back in 1959. While these walls are ancient, these vibrant stained glass windows were actually replaced in the 1960s. Designed to depict the trials and triumphs of this church's long survival, they slowly fade into the shadows as we draw closer to the main altar. Right in the heart of the city stands the Grand Ducal Palace. Today, it serves as the official workplace of the Grand Duke, but its origins were surprisingly modest. Starting out as the city's first town hall all the way back in 1418. Tragically, in 1554, a lightning bolt struck a nearby church, igniting a massive gunpowder reserve stored inside. The resulting explosion completely leveled the building. It took 20 years to rebuild, giving us the gorgeous Flemish Renaissance facade we are looking at now. It wasn't until 1890 that it officially became the sovereign's palace. But its darkest chapter arrived during World War II, when occupying forces forced the Grand Ducal family into exile. They stripped the palace of its royal identity, desecrated its priceless art, and turned this historic building into a public concert hall and a tavern called Schlossschenke. It took a massive restoration effort after the war to return the palace to its former splendor. For some reason, the entry was closed while we were here, so we couldn't visit the inside. It's a pity, because during the summer they normally open the doors to the public and donate 100% of the ticket sales directly to charity. Directly across from the palace stands the famous chocolate house. Sadly, it was also closed when we walked by. But looking through the windows of this cozy little spot, you can just imagine the rich aroma of chocolate waiting inside. Walking across the castle bridge, you get an incredible view of the Bock Promontory. These jagged stone ruins are all that remain of the original 10th century castle, the very birthplace of Luxembourg. Just beneath the feet of those tourists lies a massive, sprawling network of underground passages, the Bock casemates. At one point, these cliffs were carved out to house thousands of soldiers and horses, turning the entire city into an absolute fortress. Moving past the bridge railing, you can see parts of the old Wenceslas wall guarding the valley below. It really gives you a sense of why this place was historically known as the Gibraltar of the North. Stepping into the fish market, you are standing in the oldest public square in the city. Back in the day, this was the bustling heart of local trade. But today, it's just a beautiful, relaxed spot to grab a coffee under the umbrellas and watch the world go by. Leaving the square behind, the path winds down the quiet, narrow cobblestones of Rue de la Loge. Over the centuries, this entire quarter has transformed from a loud, chaotic marketplace into a quiet refuge for artists and food lovers. Many of the old medieval storehouses that used to hold the daily catch have been carefully converted into modern galleries and cozy bistros. It's a completely different rhythm out here now, where the old structures have simply adapted to a slower pace of life. Walking past the tucked-away restaurant tables and underneath the massive, weathered stone archways, you can almost feel the centuries of history built right into the foundations of these walls. It's amazing how these ancient structures still frame the paths we walk today. Passing through the cool shade of the fortified tunnel, the view opens up to the magnificent Les Trois Tours, the Three Towers. This massive gateway dates all the way back to the 13th century ramparts, standing as a silent reminder of the days when Luxembourg was one of the most heavily fortified cities in Europe. If you're new to the channel, this is Kathy. I forgot to introduce her back when we were at the church clockwork. Looking down from these ancient stone walls, you get a breathtaking view of the Grand Valley below. It's a favourite spot for locals and travellers alike, just to pause and take it all in. Down there, the Alzette River twists its way through the bottom of the gorge, completely cutting off the lower town from the bustling city centre above. By the way, if you're enjoying our stroll through Luxembourg so far, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. We're still quite a small channel, so every single share and subscription really helps us grow and keep these walks going. Thank you. It truly means a lot. Just across the valley, the massive stone arches of the railway viaduct frame the horizon. If you watch closely, you can catch the local trains passing high above the old Stierken, or what the locals traditionally call the Devil's Bridge. It beautifully bridges the gap between the medieval fortifications and the modern world. Legend says a phantom bull used to haunt these stones at night, but architecturally, it's much older than it looks. It dates all the way back to the late 14th century, around 1385, built as part of the city's third ring of medieval fortifications. This covered stone walkway with its archery loops wasn't just a regular bridge. It was a heavily fortified defensive pass, designed to allow guards to move safely across the Alzette River, while completely protected from enemy fire. Today, it just beautifully bridges the gap between the medieval fortifications and the modern world. Looking over the edge here, you can really feel the dramatic layout of Luxembourg. It's just incredible how the historic stone houses down in the valley look almost like a miniature village from up on these walls. Right at the center of the valley floor sits the sprawling complex of Neumünster Abbey. Very few buildings in Europe have worn as many drastically different faces. It's actually version 2.0, as the original 11th century monastery sat high up on the mountain plateau before French troops completely leveled it. The monks rebuilt down here in the valley, only to have the new abbey wiped out again in 1684 by Louis XIV's heavy artillery. It's funny, standing up here on these old ramparts, just watching the everyday rhythm of the city unfold. You see couples catching a quiet moment together, while others are just pausing to take in the sheer scale of the gorge. Looking at it now, you'd honestly never guess how much heavy history is packed into these peaceful views. By the way, the resilience of those stones of the Neumünster Abbey is remarkable, but the history gets much darker. For over a century, this holy space was officially the Luxembourg State Men's Prison. Local children walking through the valley were told never to look up at the windows out of fear of the inmates, who spent their long days hand-weaving wicker chairs and folding paper grocery bags for local shops. It's honestly wild to think about. Just hundreds of men confined right there inside what used to be a quiet sanctuary. Today, the exact space that once echoed with silent, solemn Benedictine chants hosts loud, open-air rock concerts, right where the old cells used to stand.
Donc j'étais pas sûr qu'il se passait des autres. C'est qui le... Si t'avais une ça serait Chemin.